Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, geeks alike. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast. As you can see, I'm here on my own because I don't trust Keith not to talk about Star Wars or figure out how to cram Star Wars into it. Plus, he seems to be happier playing bloody Zelda than he does want to be being in a podcast. So, yes.
Look, the game is addictive, and I was right in the middle of a shrine, and I completely fluffed it, so I've got to figure it out again. But it's taxing. Loving it. Best game ever made. So they took the best game ever made and somehow improved it.
Really?
So,
wow.
yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
I always loved Zelda. Zelda was my favorite game. Just because of its uniqueness. I think Tears of the Kingdom has kind of improved it.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm barely into it. But I did buy a Switch Pro controller the other day because I was fed up of playing on the little thing. That's a really nice controller, dude. I was shocked how nice it feels. Really solid. And 40-hour battery.
The Monkey Nut Punch podcast. This is one we talk about kind of films and TV, not the Gaming Face Punch one. That one we did yesterday.
Yeah, you go late on, so I can't talk. But I want to talk about games now.
Early, we did early Saturday morning. Okay. We have right. Go over to the Gaming Face Punch channel. There is a video on the as Zeus Rock Ally. Go watch it. Do it now. Well, no, do it after the podcast. Actually, you talk about your favorite game. My favorite game involves a young lady, a length of rope, and lots of jumping up and down. It's called skipping, you dirty bastard.
Oh dear, it's going to be one of those, isn't it? It's going to be one of those shows.
I was supposed to prepare my bloody Ellen Ripley Goes and Destroys Mexico video, but I didn't get it right. So this week we'll be talking about the Silo game because that's our TV show at the moment. We're talking about the last episode, Ted Lasso. It's ironic because I watched the last episode and then I went back to the beginning and started rewatching the beginning, and that last episode references like the whole first series. It really does. Which is good. It's also nice to see how the characters and bits have kind of developed over time. So you got that. I just want to, before we start, for the listeners who listen podcast wise, we know they do two podcasts. We do the Gaming Face Punch and the thing. Anyway, we get the Gaming Face Punch run up because it's news stories. We split it up and put it out. Anyway, every so often we get the odd comment on there. And you know the expression, don't feed the trolls. So tempted. I was at the gym and I was bored as anything, yeah? And I was looking at some of the comments and I was like, I could feed one of these trolls. And then I thought, let's just check, because it was one of these things. I looked at it and it was like, he made just a really shit comment. So I looked at it and I went in there and then I looked at his picture and I went, oh, looks like he fucks his cousin. That would be a bit too easy. And so I left it.
I get trolls.
We've had about 3 recently. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know if they're genuine imbeciles or not. I've got a moral question for you later if you're playing Be a Stupid Gamer. No, it wasn't you who made a comment because you don't have a picture. You're not stupid enough to put a picture yourself up. I've got a moral question to ask you later if I can join you for what do you call it? Among Us. So,
the great thing about, I'm in a couple of the Facebook groups which I've alluded to before, and I get trolls, right? I mean, there was some dude that posted a picture, and it was quite clever, right? And I know this is going to take it to Picard, but I won't go on about it. But the guy posted a picture from the Picard episode, Next Gen episode, where Picard was tortured by the Cardassian. There is 4 lights, right? And he memed it saying there are 3 seasons. And I just went, nope, there's only 1. Lol. Right? And then this dude comes along. He goes, oh, you're wrong. and he screenshotted Paramount Plus, right, showing seasons 1, 2, and 3, and then just because he's got nothing better to do, he screenshotted every single fucking episode and replied to that, and I was like, "Fuck me, dude, you need to get laid," right? that was my response, right? And then he starts going on and on, right? I was like, whatever. But I've learned that the group admins will get rid of them when they oh, is that the best you can do, or is that the best reply? Try harder. Those when you get a troll to get them to say that, get them banned and they're gone. That's how you do it. Same with YouTube, apparently.
Okay.
So although you can block them on YouTube.
It was just one of those ones where it's I've got like 8 witty comebacks, 30 minutes doing the cross trainer, and I come up with like 8 witty comebacks that I could use. One using bread as an analogy, really fucking clever. And then there was the more basic one where it looks like you fuck your cousin. So I had really clever to really base and guttural. Anyway, let's get on with these things. So yeah, Bilfer, go to the Monkey Nut Punch channel, and we have a video on it, and you can see me, Nigel, and Babster talk about the Asus Rock Ally. It looks cool. Have you seen it? It's a handheld gaming PC. It's the best one out there at the moment.
I know what you're talking about.
Magnifique. I know what you're talking about. Even though Babster said that he'd go for the Steam Deck, but he uses a bloody Spectrum, for crying out loud. So what are we talking about, Keith? I've forgotten. I started talking about Trump.
Well, we were going to talk about Ted Lasso, Silo. I promise I've got nothing on Star Wars this week. I know that Picard is still doing well. Paramount have admitted it's the most successful show. I think they're not announcing anything because of the writer's strike, which is still going on. Are we into our 4th week now? 5th week? Do you think it's going to go longer than the last one? If
they're clever, they will kill it one day before the studios can act force majeure and cancel half their projects. If they're clever, which means August-ish, then it'll end.
I mean,
we were talking about it last week. I'm sure I said it last week when I was watching Batman. Was it The Dark Knight Returns? And there's a bit on TV where they go, the writer's strike is into its 4th year, and Jimmy Olsen, head of the network, says it won't affect any programming.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a rumor going around. I mean, I look, it possibly is bullshit, but it's been carried by major entertainment news outlets that Deadpool 3 started shooting, starring Hugh Jackman and apparently a few of the other original X-Men actors. So it's not just Hugh Jackman. But apparently Ryan Reynolds is forbidden, along with all the other actors, but Ryan Reynolds being probably the one that does it the most, from ad-libbing or going off script. Because apparently that somehow infringes WAG, whatever they call themselves, Writers Association, right? Was it American Right? Whatever they're called, right? It apparently breaches their things by allowing ad-libbing of script. I mean, you pointed this out, and I think you're probably right. I think he's in a suit, so it's not like you can see his mouth. So they can go back in, and there's a term for it which I can't remember, where they can go in and re-record the audio. But I wonder why they even started shooting Deadpool 3 during the middle of a writer's strike, if this is the case. Because Deadpool 3 kind of relies on ad-libbing a bit.
Some bits, but more from Deadpool than anyone else. So we were supposed to talk about...
yeah, Biffa, you're right. I think it is ADR.
Yes, the redubbing over the top. We were supposed to talk about Miles Morales Spider-Man thing, but we're going to skip past that because neither of us have seen it. My son's seen it, but I haven't seen it, so yes.
I haven't seen it yet. Did you get that talk? Because we did talk about this on this podcast last week. Did you read that link I sent you yesterday?
I know, Keith, but it needs to be 2/3 Peter Parker. At least.
Well, I think it can be reading that article. I think it can be almost all
No,
Peter Parker.
No, I know how it will work. It will work just like it did in Grand Theft Auto, where you need to play them for specific missions in order for those missions to be carried out. Yeah. That's what the wireless there. So that's my biggest concern about it. I look at the game itself. The Spider-Man game looks fantastic. I'm just worried that I'll be playing as fucking Miles Morales and not Peter Parker. Because they're going to Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty me. That's what I'm worried about. That's the concern. It's like it'll get to a really important bit, and you want to be Peter Parker, and you'll flip the freaking Miles Morales. I'm like, no, don't do this to me. That's what I'm worried. So what should we talk about? Should we talk about let's talk about Ted Lasso. It's the last one. It was nice.
Well,
the only thing that gets Americans looking at football, probably even me looking at football, because every time I watch a football team, I bloody lose. To the point that I think my family look at me just, did you watch the game? Yeah, don't. So yeah. So we got it should be within certain, can't be 100% ad-libbed. It has to be within a framework, but I know what you mean.
Especially with Hugh Jackman in it as well. I mean, I look, whether this is entirely true and whether they're secretly doing it, but the entertainment unit have said that it conflicts with certain rules because the script was written before the writer's strike so they can use it. But what about rewrites, which always happen in films? You know, I mean, is it that they don't want to waste the amount of money they've spent on the studio space, so they're going to go and shoot a load of shit and then come back and do reshoots on certain script things? Or maybe they've even got time booked in for reshoots because studios do this. And they're hoping by then the writer's strike is solved so that all the sort of like changes that they have to make, they can do after that.
First things first, there's going to be a writer's strike joke in there. He's going to ad-lib something, yeah. And we've lost Keith because his internet is powered by wee flakes. Because of it, there'll be a writer's strike joke thrown in there. And it's like, oh, that's going to get me kicked off the Writing Guild, or was it Writing Guild of America? There'll be something along those lines because he always takes the piss out of those sort of things. I'm just worried about it because when it was with Fox, okay, but with Disney, now my internet's going caca. It's just
you're fine. You're fine. We can hear you.
You can still hear me. All right, I'm just going to stop the video for a moment. Oh, hang on, I can come back. It's being part of Disney. How rude is it going to be? Yeah. Well,
I mean, it is meant to be R-rated. It is keeping the R-rated. But you're right. I mean, there is the whole Disney thing, and that reminds me. You hear they announced a live version of How to Train a Dragon, which I love the original film, love the music, love the film, and you should exactly look like that because what region of the world is How to Train a Dragon based in by any chance, right? Scandinavian, Norwegian.
Yeah.
Do most Norwegian girls look like? Blonde, tall. Guess what? They've recast. You know what I'm going to say?
Oh, right, hang on a second.
They've recast the blonde. Yeah, sorry.
They've done Netflix. Netflix
well,
adaptation.
They've done an Ariel. They've recast the blonde Norwegian girl into a black woman again. And it's even more ridiculous than freaking Ariel. At least though she wasn't a ginger this time. Sorry, Nige. When will the Hollywood ginger side end? Yeah, it's just fucking, after all the backlash that Ariel's had, right, and the Little Mermaid movie has had, right, they go and announce it this week. Morons.
It's oh my god, so if you look at the Little Mermaid, it did well in the States, but not in the rest of the world. But you know why it didn't do well in the rest of the world? Because they think this is fucking stupid. It's that simple.
Yeah, and it shows it.
Hang on, hold on a moment. Where's my representation? Damn it!
Nice one.
Karen Gillian's your representation, I'm afraid, Nigel. I suggest following her on
shaved her
Instagram.
hair off.
No,
covered her with a blue skull cap.
Do you want to hear something funny? Karen Gillan has a wig made of her own hair.
Yes. Yeah, she did that in the first one. She's not shaved for the last couple of films. If you
no, sorry.
She's not cut off all her hair. She wears a skull cap. You're a dirty, dirty man.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking her armpits.
Yeah. I believe you. Thousands couldn't. And if they invented smell-o-vision, I think I'd smell bullshit.
I do recommend you follow Karen Gillan on Instagram.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. But yeah, I mean, it's just damn stupid. I mean, so of course this is immediately, got the negativity going. And what does the studio do? Racist.
Ugh, not this shit, not again.
So what's the film going to do? Hollywood do not learn from their mistakes.
I think this time in 10 years, I don't think Hollywood's going to exist. Not like it does now.
No, the way they're going. They're going to
just tank the whole thing.
I mean, if it is true, remotely true, Indiana Jones is going to crucify Disney. Certainly going to crucify Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I'm oh god, it's gonna be awful. It's gonna be fucking awful, isn't it? Horse-faced goblin ruins Indiana Jones. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Why has she got a fucking, pardon my language, why has she got a fucking job? Seriously, she's just everything she's in just.
If they've turned, they already kind of turned Han Solo into an absentee father, right? If they've done the same thing to Indiana Jones, if they've turned, and if these rumors are correct, then
they haven't turned into an absentee father. They've turned him into a drunk, and you can see that in the trailer. Yeah,
I know. And there's no way in hell. I'm sorry, Phoebe Waller-Bridge would be able to knock Indy out. Sorry, it's just not. There's nothing misogynistic about that.
This is the funny thing. When you knock someone out in real life, you don't knock them out like they do in the films.
Yeah, I know.
It's just, yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about let's talk about Ted Lasso, because I'm Ted.
It's the weird thing is I saw a few people that said they felt cheated, and a few people. It's weird because people claiming they've been cheated, but it's fine. It was.
They let Nate down. The only criticism I have is Nate's character. That really wasn't well dealt with. They didn't show him leaving West Ham or really the entire motivation. When either of them asked, I don't want to talk about it, and that was never shown on screen. Nate was a brilliant manager. They started off showing that. So why does he end? His dad goes, "You're a genius" in the episode before, so he should have at least been assistant coach.
It should have been the three of them at the end when Ted left, because there was a space for him. Yeah. That's what they should have done. Just in that last bit.
Every character got a suitable payoff except Nate. Do I feel cheated? No, I don't. I like, people. You were right about, Dad being in recovery, right? There were, and I think people missed the subtleties, right? That very final shot of Ted looking up and smiling showed that Ted was content. He was home. He was training his son. No panic attacks. That was Ted finding true happiness. So, to me, no, I didn't feel cheated on there. Rebecca got her payoff. Coach got his payoff. Coach Beard, which I loved.
So, You had Matey, who was the original manager of Richmond at the end, managing West Ham, and they had because I started watching the first series again with the missus because she hadn't seen it, and they made the joke about how his shorts were so short you could see one of his testicles in the first episode when he gets fired, and then to have it show, they still have them show it where it's like blurred out, where he falls over and his bollock is hanging out. I love that. And then you had Rupert gets comeuppance right at the end. That was good. Which kind of it was nice because Rebecca. It was weird because the Rebecca character, she's always hung up on him for ages up until the bit where he invites her to that weird conference thing, and she turns around and blows it all out of the water, and then all the other kind of women and the stuff then show up to her house at the end. So she had her thing pay off. I actually appreciated the fact that they didn't do like a romantic relationship between her and Ted.
No,
because they always do that shit.
They implied it at the beginning, but then
that was for a joke.
You think no, but you think it, and then Beard walks out in a thong, and I was like, no, okay, what the fuck? That guy had balls fucking sitting on the thing.
Yeah, so both pressed at the same time.
Nothing worse than having a taffy sack when you're wearing shorts.
Yeah, it was. He was in those because right. Because you're American, be a stupid gamer. In the 80s, they wore the tightest of tight shorts, and I mean, it's like whenever you watch clips from the 80s, you're always like kind of. There's lots of groin. Imagine there's lots of groin injuries during that time. So it's like Gary Lineker when he's playing in Mexico is an example that I always fucking picture.
I loved this season. I prefer it to season 2. There were some moments in this season, and I know what you said, but I thought it would. The only thing is they let Nate down. And that, I mean, I found Nate's awkwardness. I find that excruciating to watch. I've always found comedy like that difficult to watch. So Nate's character grated on me, but that emotional payoff that he gets with his father doesn't translate then into the final where he should have been standing coaching, because that's what he's good at. So I really I don't want to watch that. Sorry, you're putting images. No, fuck me. Sorry, another comment in our thing. Seriously, dude. Wrong.
Wrong. Just wrong. Just leave it there.
Wrong.
So if you go through the characters, you had Coach Beard had his wedding at Stonehenge. I love the fact that he didn't want to go. Ted was going back, but he didn't want to go. He turns and goes, "I'm in love. I can't go. I have to stay." And then it was like, kind of, "How are you going to do it? Don't worry, I've got a plan." Like, water in the face. Oh, and then he falls over yelling, "My appendix! My appendix!"
Yeah, but it's the bit where she says to Ted, "Do you want to go?" And he goes, "No, I'm all okay." So she goes, "What an asshole!" That made me giggle. That made me giggle. Look, it was lovely. I mean, it was a lovely season final. And as I said, everyone again, I think I would have liked to have seen Roy end up with Keeley. Although the actress has said that she would probably have picked Roy, so I'm gonna go with the fact that Keeley went with Roy, because Roy deserved it. Roy was like, Roy had all that character development, and then he wanted to be a diamond dog at the end, which again, that was a fantastic scene. I loved Trent Crimm's sort of like nervousness at the book. And I love that little bit that Ted put on there, at the end. And it was great. And, the 49% being owned by the fans. And, each of those 3 fans are all like amazed that they've got like one share. And then Maeve, the barmaid, just puts this massive fucking... that was brilliant. Yeah, that was brilliant. It just felt weird that they didn't give Nate that it's just weird what they did with Nate this season. You know, I don't quite
it was
get
fine
that.
up until the middle. It was fine up until the middle.
Yeah.
As soon as it hit the middle, it just kind of it derailed. Maybe there was something that happened behind the scenes that we didn't know about, where the actor couldn't turn up for filming. Maybe that's what happened.
I mean, maybe. I mean, they're now sort of heavily saying that a lot of the cast is not ready for it to end. They certainly left the door open for several spin-offs. I'm not ready to say goodbye to a lot of these characters. I genuinely love the characters, all of them. But
I would like them if they just did a TV movie about them in the European Championship. I think I'd really enjoy that. Just about that, and then you can have Ted turn up to help out, and like phone him up every so often, see how he's getting on, or something along those lines, and then he turns up for that last game. Something along, they can do that. There's options. I'll be honest with you, the other part of it too. I'm quite grateful that it ended where I liked it. If you know what I mean. That's a good thing because it didn't overstay its welcome. So if we've got that,
no, and I mean they could. I mean, I know it's kind of we cringe at this, but actually written in the way that it's been written, one of the spin-offs was obviously AFC women's team, but that could work. That could definitely work. As long as you like have Beard in there and all the other cast members, that could work and create some new characters. But it really depends whether they bring back the original writers. They need that. Or what you said, like a spin-off movie of them in the European Championships. But again,
like a nice thing like that.
The random so long farewell, that was brilliant, right? And obviously someone's a fan of like the Sound of Music there, but again, loved it. I mean, random as fuck, but brilliant. and what's his face? Football is life. Leaving him to do the final part of the song on his own, again, genius.
Yes. Just a quick one. I saw this. Wrexham's ex-players beat women's US football team 12-0. They won the World Cup recently. Yes.
Oops.
So
but didn't Wrexham go up
apparently they were giving it all. They were giving it all of this before the game started too. So I found that funny.
That's weird as well because the US women's team is meant to be great, but
but the US women's team got beaten by a load of American, and I say this, American school kids, 14-year-olds. They got beaten 3-0 by a load of American kids, school kids, 14-year-olds who don't play football.
I think they do play football in some schools now. There's certainly some, well, they call it soccer, that's played football. It's played in certain schools, I believe now in certain states. Football is becoming more popular there. That American silly thing, that they try to make out like it's
I want the Americans to play rugby. I want the Americans to play rugby because they can play rugby. They're quite capable of playing rugby. Play rugby, you can play with the rest of the planet. Okay, just because you want America to win all the time by not involving anyone else is the only way you can guarantee
none of this bullshit fucking helmets and all these fucking pads. It's a proper man's game. Fucking tackle, right? But none of this shit. None of this protection bullshit. No. Fucking bunch of namby-pamby fairies running around in all their bloody things, right? Rugby's a man's sport. Yeah, I am.
Give blokes play rugby.
Yeah, Americans don't play rugby because we don't like snap femurs. Yeah, bunch of fairies.
Cauliflower ears are the other ones. That always tasted quite tasty to me. Cauliflower ear, like cauliflower cheese. Like pigs, like pig's ear, pork ear, just covered in cheese.
I love rugby. I played rugby at school, loved it. And yeah, I did get fucking hurt a few times, but that was part of the game.
I always getting done for illegal tackling. I always get the tackling wrong.
But no, I think Ted Lasso. Well, it gets a thumbs up from me. I would like to see more of it. I'm going to miss that. And I think this season just came into its own. I loved Jamie Tartt's story. I'm just sad.
The Oscar bit is a reference to the first series where they're trying to get him to cause a distraction so they can get the Nigerian striker to score. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
But that is, and he literally, Ted Lasso turns around and goes, "Give me the ball, give me the ball." He acts exactly the same as what Ted was doing in that thing. It was such a good comeback.
Oh, there was a lot of like paybacks to the first. You're right. There were a lot of sort of paybacks to the first thing. Even the wanker, because that's what they did to Ted, right?
Yeah.
And Ted kind of laughed it off, whereas Rupert, he got his comeuppance. So, and he needed to get his comeuppance. He was a nasty bastard. But no, generally enjoyed it. Loved it. So, did you watch Silo this week, or did you fall asleep?
I kind of watched it. Mrs. watched it because she likes it. What can I say? Not kind of proper taste in music. I mean, TV, music. What did I say? Music. I meant to say TV.
You're in so much trouble,
dude. It's so fucking slow. I'm sorry. It is so slow, and it's like and the Tim Robbins character is looking more like the overseer from Full 13 every episode. It's getting like kind of, oh my god. So yes, it's
yeah. I mean, I the bit where you find out that the boyfriend had another woman, that was a bit sort of like, didn't see that coming. But yeah, it was a bit of a slow episode. I admit the first time I started watching it, I fell asleep, but I was tired that day. I put it down to that, so I've caught back up. But I wasn't. I didn't love this week's episode. Put it that way. It was not the best. But I understand. I mean, look, I think we've got what? I think is it 8 or 10 episodes. I'm not sure. But this week's episode had a trailer for a load of other things that are coming. And we've got a Lufa TV series about a hijack, where he is it's called Hijack, funny enough, and he's a dude on the plane that has to sort it out. Now, I thought it was a movie. It's not. It's a TV series, right? How do you make an entire TV series around a hijack? Now, you think Silo's slow moving. I mean, that's got to be like the ultimate slow thing. So I don't know what that going on there. And they showed a load of other shows that are coming, but that was the one that caught my eye. That was the one that caught my eye. But no, Silo. I haven't got a huge amount to say about it this week, I have to admit.
It is. Well, I was hoping to talk about bloody Into the Spider-Verse, so we could have something to talk about, but neither one of us saw that.
No, unfortunately, I will try and catch it on Tuesday or Wednesday this week, so we can talk about it next week. I've heard good things. I've heard a few criticisms, which are probably right, but mostly it's positive.
Okay.
So, yeah. What, you got anything else? I watched. I have to admit, I watched Manifest. Now, I know Nige watched this. So Nige, if you're still watching, you better be getting our viewing figures up. So if you're there, Nige, say hello in the comments. I watched the last 10 episodes of Manifest, and I gotta admit, they did kind of stick the landing, literally. Well, it is about planes.
Seasons. Isn't it 4 seasons on one plane?
No. They basically got cancelled at the end of season 3 on a massive fucking cliffhanger, and Netflix came back and saved it. Now, they made season 4, but they gave it 20 episodes. Why they didn't just call this season 5? Because there's been like this massive gap between like the first half of season 4 and the latter half of season 4. So technically it's 5 seasons, and 2 seasons have 10 episodes each. But they kind of, Nige, if you are in the comments, put your fingers in your ears if you don't want to hear this. They kind of, not entirely, but they kind of crossroads it. That's kind of how. Do you remember, like, famously? Do you remember how they famously ended the TV soap Crossroads? Do you remember how they famously ended that?
No, I can't remember.
Right,
it had a character called Benny in it.
Crossroads was this soap on British TV that famously had like really flimsy sets to the point that you could see these sets wobbling in the background, right? Then it came back for a while, and they ended it famously by one of the characters waking up and the whole thing had been a fucking dream, right? So that was how Crossroads soap ended. Manifest is not quite like that, right? But
excuse me,
put it this, yeah. What? Yeah, well, yeah, I know. So all the plane, I mean, the whole premise is like a load of passengers in a plane take off and then land 5 years later. To the passengers, no time has passed except the normal flight. To everyone else, they've been missing for 5 years, right? That's the basic premise, right? Then they start getting premonitions, and they have to save all these people, right? And it's called callings, right? Then you find out in season 2 that there's like this death date coming, right? And then at the end of season 3, you find out that the death date is for the entire world. And that's how it got cancelled, which was really annoying. And then season 4, they really lean into the religious aspect, but at the same time, they still keep it kind of sciencey. I would call it supernatural. The final episode is a bit sort of leaning on the religious side because they face judgment, right? And then you get like death. So, and then the plane, and then because they saved the day and they passed the judgment, the plane lands when it was meant to have landed. So everything you saw never happened. They remember it, but everything you saw never happened. And it ends with the plane landing when it was meant to. So all the people that died are alive again. All the people that had sacrificed themselves are alive again, except the 11 bad people who all got burnt in the fiery pits of hell. That's how it ended. But it did kind of stick the landing. It did kind of work in the context of the show. But it did like make me laugh. It's like, hang on, have they just crossroadsed it? Yeah, they kind of did. They kind of wiped out the entire 4 seasons. All the characters that died, not dead.
All right. I was trying to find this for the Ted Lasso bit, but hang on a second.
It was a place of our own where no one would bother us, where we could eat, have a few jars, and watch a football.
Yeah, which is called soccer in the States.
When I'm talking, you shut your bloody mouth, you fucking cunt!
Just as a warning to our American listeners.
Do you know, right? I'm the English teaching company that I work for. They all the slides are like using American English, right? So this is one, right? And I get really, really indignant about it. And I make sure the students know this, right? There's this guy who's called Murphy, because that's a British name, right? Goes, hi, I'm Murphy. I'm from the UK. I like soccer. It's not soccer. It's fucking football. And if he was from the UK, he would not say he likes soccer. He would say he likes fucking football. Right, so I say to the students, when they say soccer, no, I say not soccer, football. But it's a football. But football. It's football. So this is a stupid word. It's a stupid American word. It's called football.
Oh dear. It's. I think maybe next week. Well, not the next week. The week after, we should have a game of factoids.
Yeah.
Just one. We'll just do one game of factoids, just because it's getting a little thin storyline wise. I think we've got Indiana. Oh, we actually said we've got Indiana Jones and all the other movies coming out.
We have got a few. Yeah, in other languages, it's football. It's just football night. Football. No, I think they call it. Do they call it soccer? Yeah, they do. Yeah, but it's Australia. I mean, it's where we sent all our criminals. Can't think properly anyway. Have we got anything else? Because I'm trying to think. I'm jumping.
I'll be honest with you. I spent all my time looking up gaming news for my other podcast. And outside Ted Lasso, I've been playing what do you call it? Horizon Forbidden West, and it's terrible in places. It really is fucking terrible in places. It's not. I'm not talking about the storyline's terrible. This, that, that's terrible. I'm talking about you have to jump from one place to another, and you can press the button. And I'm sitting in front of my wife.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. I'm going up, going down. Nothing happens.
I thought that was just me, so it's not just me.
No, it's the game.
No,
it's fucking awful. It really is. It's the worst. I think that I don't think we're getting Horizon Zero Dawn 3.
We got the add-on, didn't we?
Yeah, but that was already planned before they started, so that was always going to happen. So it's one of those things.
I have to admit, as you mentioned at the beginning, I'm really enjoying Zelda at the moment. I think some of the building vehicles thing is really unique. And I've never seen it quite like that in another game. Now, I'm not the biggest gamer, so it might have been done, but I don't know that I've never played such a big open world game. Oh, you can right. Well, one of the new features in this game, right, is that you can build things, right? Now that be it vehicles, be it right. What's your language? Nigel's son is in the comments.
He's waving a pink hand, but it doesn't show up properly. Is my internet getting shady?
It's up and down, but don't worry. I can't comment on internet. It's you the building things. You get all these parts, and you can do a lot of unique stuff with it. It's one of those games you have to use your imagination, and there's so much you can do that you just don't think about. Like, I was stuck on this one effing boss for hours, right? And he's flying around on his flying ship, and every time you knock him off his thing, right, he then he gets harder, basically, because he only gets like bullets and shit like that. So it gets harder and harder and harder. And there was these rockets lying around, but there was nothing we could attach the rockets to. Until I realized, hang on, I can infuse a rocket to my shield. I can use that to send me into the air, and then I can glide down on top of him and whack him, right? And as soon as I realized that, bump, not completed him in seconds. But the game doesn't tell you that. You got to work it out for yourself. So, like, I barely touched the surface, and I've probably done about 40 hours already. I mean, I've mapped quite a lot of the underground, but again, you're in pitch black, and you have to fire out these, like, you collect these seeds, and you can fire those out or put them on arrows and attach them, and that lights up a little bit of the area. And that's where you get all your vehicle parts. So, it's kind of eerie going through the black, and then you can find these various light routes and light them up. But I mean, I loved Breath of the Wild, but I got lost in Breath of the Wild for months, and I became a bit of a completionist with it. Nigel, I'm not doing it on the handheld. I'm doing it I bought the Pro controller. I bought the Pro controller, and I'm just playing it mostly on the TV.
He's got Pro controller because that way he can use one hand to control the thing properly. Use his other hand free for everything.
Pro controller, 40-hour battery life on that thing. 40-hour, right? And then you look at the bloody PlayStation Pro controller, which is a nice controller, 6 hours if you're lucky. 6 hours if you're lucky. But no, I loved Breath of the Wild. Still my favorite game of all time. I think Tears is probably going to replace that. There's just more that you can do. It's like they've taken Breath of the Wild and gone, how can we make this a little bit better? And they've kind of done it.
Okay, when it comes to that sort of building, it sounds like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Game back on 360.
There's like hundreds of different things you can get. Like you have to find a control stick to make. You can build a car, but it will only go in a straight line, right? Unless you get a control stick. You can stick fans on a glider, and you have to move along the glider until you find a control stick. So the only way you can control the glider in the air is running from left to right to make it turn, or up and back and forth. So you have to use your head about balancing. I mean, it's it's just an amazing game. And I don't know how the hell. Well, I found out that they've used the 32 gig card for the Switch. This is like one of the first games they've ever used a 32 gig card for. Because I was saying to you last week, how the hell have they taken Breath of the Wild, which was already a massive game, and made it nearly 3 times bigger?
You know that Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat's 100 gigabytes, don't you?
Not on the Switch, it's not.
No, not on the Switch, it's not. Because
no, I know it's a huge gap. I'm talking about Switch cartridges. I mean, fucking hell. Survivor was huge. So, I'm going to clear some space on my hard drive. But I will be, but hopefully I will have Zelda done by the time Spider-Man 2 comes out. Hopefully. But Breath of the Wild took me 6 fucking months. So,
Did you play Metal Gear Solid 3?
Yes, I had it on the PlayStation 3, if I remember rightly. I had it on PlayStation
Metal Gear Solid 3 was on PlayStation 2. PlayStation 4 was Guns of the Patriot. Don't
PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3.
For Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I had it on the PlayStation 3. I've had every iteration of the PlayStation, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know, but you had it on the PlayStation. You had Metal Gear Solid thing on the PlayStation 2.
Sure, it was the 3.
No, because it was Guns of the Patriots on 3.
Wasn't that on 4? Or did I play that one? Yes, no. I think I played it. Is this the rehash of it?
The rehash.
Well, the remastered. Yeah.
Nudge knows we've already gone through this at the moment. For the people listening, we are watching the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. I just want to point out something to see if you spot it. If you play the third game, can you see that in the background? No, it's slightly in the background there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
That's the Metal Gear thing being moved.
Yeah.
Sorry, I showed Babs that and he didn't believe me. I needed to show someone who would believe me. Yeah. So you got the end parrot with a dead frog. Sorry, I apologize if you're listening. Yeah, so
PS5,
You're remaking it PS5, Xbox, PC.
Because I heard they were doing 2 as well.
No, they're doing a remake of the others, but not a remaster. So a while back we were talking about how Capcom were the masters at remaking stuff. They did Resident Evil 2, which is fantastic, and Resident Evil 3. Which suffered pretty much the same problem that Resident Evil 3 suffered when it was being made. which it suffered when it was being made, and then you had because they've done that, they've decided they're going to remake this. They're keeping all the original audio, so they don't have to pay anyone, with the exception of the music, because we were reporting on people singing songs and giving things away. But yeah, it's not Metal Gear Solid 3. It's Metal Gear Solid Delta. And hopefully they'll do a good job. It's one of those ones I've got to keep an eye out for. It's 2024, 2025, depending on how they sort this out. I'm hoping they've done it all in the Unreal 5 engine, because it's going to be fantastic using the Unreal 5 engine. I think we should wrap up here.
Yeah, I might have to get that. Yeah.
So I'll wait for that to pop out. But
nice.
I just sort of show you that because I know that you definitely played the second one.
So I bought you it.
Yes, I remember you bought me it. Came around my house on your moped.
Yeah.
In Kingston.
Like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Kingston, and my house from your house to Kingston is really out of your way. You have to go past your house in order to get to my house. Well, at the time, my house. But yeah, it's. I think it's.
Don't remember that night.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
On that note, I think we're going to say goodbye. Sorry, we didn't have too much to talk about this week. As I said, we were supposed to talk about Miles Morales, but neither one of us saw it. So
I will get to the cinema this week. I might try and go on Wednesday or Thursday.
I'm not sure if it's Duncan or Alex. If you're still in the chat, one of you two really liked a character in Spider-Man called The Spot, and apparently he's the villain in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now the cool music. Yes, we'll put the cool music off in a bit. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Hopefully, we'll talk. We'll check the news. If there's not enough news, we might do a factoids instead, so you can watch us play an extreme game of wits as we try and outsmart each other by slipping some falsehoods. And on that note, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. See you next week, guys.
See you next week. Bye bye.